So Nintendo doing what Nintendo does, jacking up the prices. $80 video games. Mario Kart 9 gonna launch at 80 buckaroos. And we were doing the stream yesterday reacting to the Direct, and after we finished reacting to the Direct, the Switch 2 reveal Direct, that was when we learned that these games are going to be, or some of these games are going to be up to $80 or up to $90 if you want the physical version. Yeah, I wish we could have got that in the reaction, because that kind of changed my whole tune on everything. I was pretty positive on the Direct overall, but that is egregious. It's absolutely egregious, and it sets a very dangerous precedent, where any big publisher, like, this is not just a one-off thing where Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart World, whatever the fuck, is going to be $80, and that the next Assassin's Creed or that the next EA game or the next Sega game, like, you know what I mean? This is going to set a dangerous precedent where other publishers think they have something that is worth $80. And I regret to inform you, but most of y'all don't have product that is worth $80. And that I started going down that rabbit hole, that thought process rabbit hole, where it's like, oh shit, this $80 launch of Mario Kart 9 pretty much gave GTA 6 all the runway they needed to launch their game at whatever fucking price they want. If we're just doing this all willy-nilly, it's like, oh, well, this game's going to be this and this game's going to be that, and there's no top off, there's no maximum price that we can set. Like, what the hell is GTA 6 about to do? Is this going to be $120 for the standard edition? Like, what the fuck are we about to see here? And the biggest bummer is that by the time GTA 6 launches, Nintendo, I mean, look at what Nintendo is doing. They have the $450 version of the Nintendo Switch 2 that you can buy without Mario Kart. Or you can buy the Switch 2 with Mario Kart for $500. So you essentially are able to get this $80 game for $50 if you bundle it. The problem is, most people are going to do that. And that's all going to be tracked as sales for Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart World. And so by the time GTA 6 launches, there's going to be evidence that backs the claim that you'll hear all the media pundits saying, well, it's gamers, they vote with their wallet and they chose to go out and buy 30 million copies of Mario Kart 9. And it's like, whoa, hold up. Did they buy 30 million copies of Mario Kart 9? Or did they buy 30 million Switches with Mario Kart 9 bundled into it? Because if you're telling someone who is already going to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 that they can just upgrade for 50 additional bucks and get Mario Kart 9 and not have to pay the $80 a la carte, like, most people are going to do that. So this is just, this is going to be very easy to manipulate this data to make it appear that, like, we're totally willing to go out and buy $80 versions of these games, and then that will give the green light for all the other publishers to start launching their games at whatever fucking price. And so this very, specifically, intentionally manipulated data that we're going to be getting is going to give the green light to all the publishers out there who think they have a big, AAA mega hit, a fucking quadruple A, a Skull and Bones. It's going to give the green light to all of these companies to be like, yeah, well, we got something that should be $100 as well, or we got something that should be $80 as well, or we should even push this further. And it soured. Hearing that news after the Switch 2 reveal, that soured everything that I had saw beforehand. And it's setting a really dangerous precedent. And so that, leads us back into the Grand Theft Auto 6 thing, where they're in a really interesting spot where, listen, I'm not fucking holding my breath that Take-Two or Rockstar is going to do anything that's pro-consumer, but They could make a statement and launch this thing at $70. And at that point, if Grand Theft Auto 6 launches at $70, that's the bar. You know what I mean? Like, if they're launching at 70, your ass better be launching at 70. If you think you got something bigger than Grand Theft Auto 6, you are absolutely 1000% off your fucking rocker. Even Nintendo. So we all know that Grand Theft Auto 6 is about to launch at a ridiculous price point. We all assume. But if there's any if there's any gaming gods looking down trying to make a course correction right now in this really, really shitty landscape that's starting to develop, it would be a very important kind of reverse here if GTA 6 launched at $70, because then your Ubisofts and your EAs and your Segas and your whoever the fuck, I would assume they would look at that and be like, okay, well, if GTA 6 is going to be 70, we got to be $70 or less. Now, once again, do I think this will be the case? Do I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to launch at $70? No, I absolutely do not. And I think that there might have been a world where they did launch at $70 before this move, before we see Mario Kart at fucking $80. You know what I mean? And that, like, it totally gives them clear runway to put whatever fucking price tag they want on GTA 6. If you're looking across the aisle and seeing Mario Kart 9 at $80, like, well, sure, $160, $200 for standard edition. Like, I don't think it'll get that crazy, but I absolutely 1000% could see $99.99 now. And I didn't really feel that way until I saw $80 for Mario Kart 9. And like I said, Take-Two and Rockstar are unbelievably greedy. Unfucking believably greedy. And unbelievably arrogant. You know? So, yeah, I would 1000% say at this point, if I had to bet money, I'm putting all of my chips on GTA 6 launching for $80 or more. And that's just, it's a bummer, dude. And it's a bummer. You know, you hear all the arguments of, well, you know, on the Nintendo 64, we were paying $100+ for, and it's like, dude, well, okay, but those times have been fucking gone for 30 years. You know what I mean? We've had like standard pricing for 30+ years, and I don't know. I'm just gonna be real. It kind of bums me out how often the media can get like hand wavy towards like normal consumers, and how elitist sounding the media can be at times. Where I was like listening to podcasts after the Switch 2 was revealed, and just getting trying to get different takes on it, and then hear different opinions about the price point. And it really does bum me out about how often it feels like just dismissive the media can be towards like average people, towards everyday people who like video games and want to play video games, but they're, you know, and I'm in that same boat where I'm thinking about this a lot, where I buy a lot of games day one. And of course I buy a lot of games day one to cover them here on the channel. But I also buy a lot of games day one because I like playing games. I love video games. But like, man, we're getting to a point, you know, if we get to in the next few years where $100 is kind of the typical AAA launch price for your big heavy hitters, like I'm probably going to get close to being priced out of this hobby. And which, once again, I'm fully aware that I don't have to buy these games on day one, and I can wait for sales and play the backlog and all that. But like, that's also dangerous in a way too, where if you're pricing people out of being able to pick up your games on day one sales are the most important sales for all publishers. That's where you get the bulk of your money, where people are buying your games full price. So if normal people are unable to buy your games full price, that's a dangerous spot. It's a very dangerous spot to be in for the publishers. And it's a bummer of a spot to be in for us, for the normal fucking people out there who just like video games. And $70, when it got bumped up to 70, I was like, oh shit. You know, we're climbing here. And that was, but my whole thing there was like, okay, that was what it had been like fucking 15 years or something since we had seen a price increase at that point. At the top of the AAA spectrum, like at the top of we were locked in for $60 for the longest time. And so I was like, okay, that seems somewhat reasonable. But this price hike here, going from 70 to 80, that happened overnight, it feels like. We just got the $70 price hike, and now we're going to 80. I don't know. It doesn't, this feels much more egregious to me. And even at $70, like I said, I buy a lot of games day one to cover here on the channel. Probably a lot of games I buy day one that I wouldn't buy day one if I didn't have this channel. But out of all the games I bought day one for $70 this year, we're talking about what games are worth $80. What fucking games are worth $70? I don't know if I've bought a single $70 game this year where I was like, yeah, that's worth $70. You know what I mean? Like, $70 is a lot of fucking money. $80 is even more. And then when we start getting to 100, it's like, holy shit, man. You're talking about a third of a car payment, a fourth of a car payment. Like, dude, shit, at $100, you're talking about a fifth of the console price. Like, guys, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? And I see a lot of people doing the comparison right now and being like, Steam Deck is the way to go. You know what I mean? That's the way to go. It's the way to get in for a more affordable price point, which even there for the hardware, you can get in for a more affordable price point, but there's a large skew of Steam Decks available at different price points, and some of which can get you much more expensive than Switch 2, what Switch 2 is launching at. And that's the other thing, where Switch 2, the console price, like that's fine. $450. I don't think people are really complaining about that at all. It's just the games. It's like, God, dog. But anywho, I see a lot of people doing the Switch 2 to Steam Deck comparison, being like, Steam Deck's the way to go. That's the way to it's the better alternative. It's the better option on offer right now in the handheld space. And I get that, and I appreciate I appreciate people trying to put some pro-consumer options out there on the table and be like, hey, if that seems egregious, try to check over in this area. But I've talked about this so much. There's not a mass market audience for just handhelds. It's not like, people are just out there going, I want to find the best handheld on the market. People are buying the Switch 2 to play Mario, to play Zelda, to play Metroid. Like, they're buying the hardware for the software. There's not a mass market for handheld devices. There's a mass market for Mario. The reason that the Switch 2 will sell, like hotcakes, despite all of the horrible, egregious, fucking anti-consumer behavior on offer from that company, is because they have Mario and Zelda and Metroid and the new Donkey Kong and the Mario Kart, and people are going to buy the hardware for that software. And it's tough to make that. Like, I do understand people wanting to go out and buy a Switch 2 because you're going to get access to excellent software. Like, we know that's the case. Nintendo consistently produces excellent software. So, like, I do understand people going out there and buying this shit because you are going to get excellent games. But it's not, and even if you really wanted to get into a competitive play of like, what are the alternatives in the handheld market, if you really are looking for something, it's like, sure, if the Steam Deck 2 launches and you got Portal 3 and Half-Life 3 and Left 4 Dead 3 and whatever the fuck else, like if they have those that are exclusive to the Steam Deck 2, then sure, you're making, okay, I actually got to kind of pick and choose what is more valuable for me here, and then which software do I value more. And obviously even there you have two totally different markets, but that's why you see Steam Deck sales of, they sold I think like 5 million units for the Steam Deck so far. The Switch 2 is going to sell 5 million units in the first 10 minutes of the fucking the page opening for people to pre-order it. You know what I mean? It's just a totally different thing. People, once again, just to bang that fucking point home, I don't think there's really a mass market for just handheld devices without exclusive software really pushing the need to pick that thing up. There's a mass market for Mario. I don't really think there's a mass market for just blanket, standard handheld video game devices, which honestly makes everything that much more frustrating because the company who actually does have the cachet, the company who actually can kind of shift market behavior is the company that's going to shift market behavior in a very, very negative way with what we're seeing now from Nintendo. So, yeah, it's a bummer that they have such great fucking software. It's a bummer that they have such great shit that is so tempting for people to purchase because I don't know. I worry that people aren't going to have the restraint to, whenever, let's say the next 3D Mario game, we know that's going to be $80. The next open world Zelda game, we know that's going to be $80. Like, I don't know. I would hope that sales start to diminish, like in terms of the comparison from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom compared to the next 3D open world Zelda game. I would hope that it has lesser sales at launch for that $80 price point, but like, am I holding my breath on that? No. I think people will still go out in droves to buy $80 Zelda and $80 whatever the fuck 3D Mario. And so yeah, it just set such a, like, it totally bummed me out compared to, I was like, oh shit, the end of that Switch 2 reveal, there was some good shit on offer. FromSoft and 3D Donkey Kong, and then the fucking Kirby game and Air Riders or whatever. Like, they had a good ending to that showcase. People left off feeling positive, and then I remember when we closed the stream, the next thing I saw was $450 for the price for the Switch 2. I was like, oh, that's not bad. Okay, cool. And then as soon as I closed the damn stream, that's when I refreshed Twitter and see, oh, $90 or $80 for Mario Kart 9 and $90 for the physical edition. I'm like, wonderful. That's fucking wonderful.